In this next video, we're going to teach you how to treat Andamuka Matrix Rough with heat, because you can do it with heat or acid, but acid's really dangerous for little kids as well. So we're going to do it by heat.
Alright, so here are the 4 stones of Andamuka Matrix Opal. Now these are untreated now because I've rubbed them. This is the one that I cut by hand, right? Entirely by hand. And I got to tell you, the hardest part of this process was not jumping up and putting on the arbor and cutting it with a machine. So I cut this entire thing and polished the entire thing by hand, which I haven't done in a while, and it gives me a respect for the old days whenever I used to do that by hand all the time. These other 3 have all been cut entirely by machine, and we've gone over that process in one of the other videos.
Now we're going to show you how to treat Andamuka Matrix Opal. The first step is to soak it in hot sugar water and then cook it in an oven. Now we're going to show you how to make the sugar water. Get some brown sugar and a jar and fill it about half full with brown sugar. It doesn't matter if you touch it with fingers or a spoon, it's not going to be.
Is this the easiest recipe in the world?
Yep,
Yep.
definitely.
Pretty much. Half sugar, half water.
Good. And now you fill the other half with water. And here we go, the hand cut one. And this one, cut by machine. This one, machine cut. And this one.
You want to stir that up until it gets dissolved. Here, that's safe.
Now that you've got your opals in the solution and it's pretty much dissolved, put the cap on the jar and put it in a crock pot on high heat for about 12 hours. Now it's probably not a good idea to put the glass jar straight on the bottom of the crock pot, so we got a little cloth here and we put it on the bottom and then rest the jar on top of it so it doesn't go exactly. There we go, set it in there nice and gentle. You want to make sure that overnight your crock pot doesn't run out of water, so before you go to bed or leave it alone, make sure to put water in there about 2/3 the way up so that the glass doesn't shatter. You want to make sure that your crock pot's heat is on high because you want the sugar water to be really hot but not hot enough to boil, so make sure it's not on low. After 12 hours, pull your stones out of the crock pot and sugar solution and put them on like a paper towel, toilet paper. Just don't touch them with your hands because 1, it might be hot, and 2, you don't want any foreign matters or stuff getting on the stones. Okay, now we're going to just take them out and get like a pair of tweezers or something and just push around in there until you can find them. Got this one, I think. Oh yes, I got it. And there are 4 stones. Now I'm going to dry these stones off, but making sure not to touch them with my bare hands because you might get grease and oil and stuff on them and you don't want that. You need to get 1 square piece of foil for every stone you have. Pull it out. Now that you've got your foil and your opals, you want, with a pair of tweezers, still don't touch them, to put 1 opal per piece of foil and just put it down at the end and then wrap it over to about halfway, and then fold in the sides and then roll up the rest of the way, and then just squish it together really tightly in your hand because you don't want any air bubbles in there. So it should look like something like that when you're finished. And just do that with all your stones.
Now, the number one complaint that I hear when people are trying to heat treat Andamuka matrix is that the stones will crack. And the reason that we wrap them up in the foil like this is to make sure that they don't get too hot or too cold quickly. It's just like glass. They don't handle thermal shock very well.
Now you've got all your opals individually wrapped, put them all into a couple more pieces of foil and wrap them up into one big ball. And then just do that a few times. First thing you do is put your ball of stones in a cold oven. Just sit them on in the middle on a tray, rack, something like this. Now turn your oven up to 250 degrees Celsius and about 480 degrees Fahrenheit. Now you're going to cook your stones for about 4 hours. Fair warning, it gets pretty smoky when the sugar carbonates, so make sure to turn on your ventilation system and maybe open some windows. After 4 hours, turn your oven off and let it cool for a few hours. After a few hours, when the stones have cooled naturally, you can open them up and see what the results are. This is the before and this is the after. They're very dark right now, but they'll lighten up as soon as we do the final polish.